like a lot of us are BPOs. Tell you a little story. Anybody here in Nacogdoches, Texas? Yeah, a few of you. Awesome. All right. So I moved to Nacogdoches, Texas. As you can tell, I'm not a born native Texan with this beautiful accent. In 2000, with a little company called Very Direct. Very Direct was a wholly owned subsidiary of Bell South. One call center, 224 seats. 2 years after I joined the company, Bell South decided to divest of all the assets and get rid of it. So luckily for me, my boss at the time, Matt Rocco, found investors and took the company private, which is today called eTech. So I'll fast forward you, won't bore you with all the cool stuff over the years, but eTech has grown to 3,000 contact centers, seats globally. 2 in India, 1 in Montego Bay, Jamaica, 4 in Texas, and 1 in West Palm Beach, Florida. And I know it doesn't look like West Palm Beach, that's where our chairman sits, so we're clear. So we had to put one there. So how do we do this? So if you look at eTech as a traditional call center, that's what we were. Well, really our secret sauce has been eTech Insights. So the insights that we've given our customers over the years helped us grow from 400 employees to 3,000. No mergers, no acquisitions. All about delivering a world-class customer experience. And about 5-6 years ago, one of my customers came to us and said, this data insight you give us every day, every week, I've never seen anything like it in the industry. You need to sell it. Of course, the sales guy that I am, I said, oh, we do, absolutely. So that's how eTech Insights was actually born and raised. I'm going to be speaking about it at 2:45 today, and one of my customers is here from a case study. So eTech's not just a traditional call center, we're actually a quality shop as well. We listen to other people's interactions. We just came back from Vegas. One of the proud accomplishments this year, we won a Silver Stevie Award recently for our eTech Insights. Our eTech Insights is basically this innovative combination of using people, processes, and technology that delivers this unbelievable, remarkable experience, putting that experience back into the customer. It uses artificial intelligence to capture data. And then I have a team of about 200 data scientists. And these data scientists, all they do is compile information, and they take these large data sets and turn them into actionable insights to drive ROI for not only eTech's internal customers, but external. The result is obviously increased sales, conversion, reduced churn, things like that. I tell you, it's a Stevie Award, second place. By the way, I want to just mention one thing. The gold winner of the Stevie Award for this solution was IBM's Watson. So for us, eTech, little Nacogdoches, Texas, it's like gold to us. But anyway, that's a little bit about eTech. I'm here for the next 2 days. Again, if you're available at 2:45, I am speaking on AI with one of my client case studies. Love to show you what we've done for them in the quality space. That's all I have for my little spot. So with that being said, I got to meet Louis Summe recently. Actually, I've been looking at LIVEVOX as one of our partners as well, but we're going to bring him up and I'm going to learn a bunch of cool things. He did tell me that he was going to be more in the weeds, so I'm looking forward to that because I can learn something. But to bring Louis up, developing innovative communications platforms, his passion is consumer engagement. It's actually the vision of LIVEVOX's company, and that's what they do. They influence this vision and this evolution of our contact center. So I won't age myself, but 30 years veteran, I was on green screen. So it's good to see someone who's been in the weeds and just constantly evolves what we're doing. Louis used cloud-based technology to solve complex problems in communication in the pharmaceutical industry and the health and management companies. Louis is a member of the CRC Innovation Cloud Council Steering Committee, is a noted expert on communications in the cloud. Without further ado, I'm going to bring up Louis to take us through the next session.
Thank you. Thank you to Pace for inviting me to speak. I appreciate it. As you guys can see, the title up here is around digital customer engagement. I'm sure that that's a topic that comes up a lot. And as Jim mentioned, I've been doing this for a while. LIVEVOX is 17 years old. So we've been through multiple iterations, multiple phases of technology. And what I'm going to talk about today is technology strategy. And one of the challenges with technology strategy, of course, is that there's a tendency to see the new shiny capabilities and to get excited about them. But then there's kind of the hard work of making them work and making them actionable and operational. Stealing 2 words from Andy Paul Baker's speech earlier today, but that really rang a bell with me because I'm sure as all of you in the room know, it's not really so much about adopting the new technology, it's about sticking with it and ensuring that you can drive results. And so that requires both vision and patience. And so that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today, but I'm going to do it in the framework of things like databases and communication channels. So hopefully it all comes together. What I'm hoping is that as I go through it, you guys will interrupt me and ask questions so that I don't drone on too long about something that isn't very interesting. So please interrupt me and ask questions as I go. Keep me in a more interesting zone. One of the things that we highlight here at the beginning is preference management and how to carry that through your digital engagement. So the first thing that we highlight here is just some information around digital channels. And digital channels have been around for 20 plus years. So they're not new, but interestingly enough, they are maybe going to double in the next few years. So even though it's been around for 20 years, it's still actually early. It's early on. And the growth in digital engagement, the growth in channels is going to go up and it's going to increase. One of the things that we've seen with the first generation of digital channels is something that I think I've heard a lot at the conference, which is the term silence. And people that have rolled out new ways of communicating on top of their existing voice contact centers often find that the information and the data that they collect in that new channel sort of stays in that channel. And so that's kind of how the first wave of digital has gone is pretty much silent. It isn't that it has to be this way. It's just that the cost of rolling out a new channel has just frankly been more practical to keep it silent than to try and work to really drag the information across each channel. But the byproduct, of course, of doing a bunch of separate channels like that and not really investing in the data model, the database that it takes to bring the data across the different channels, is that your consumers are going to have a one-to-many experience. So what that means is that when they're on the phone, they could interact with someone different than if they send in an email, and they can interact with someone different again than if they're chatting. So the net result of that is likely to be a disconnected consumer journey. And not only does the consumer, not only do they face a disconnect as they go across these channels, but your agents also are losing some of their role as you add more channels and they're not part of it. As the customer goes through these different ways of communicating, your agents are less empowered as well. And that's not ideal because, of course, in an ideal world, the agent would be the centerpiece of what you're doing. And in fact, one of the things that consumers are looking for more than anything is the opportunity to talk to the agent once. Now, of course, they want the agent to be able to solve the problem. So it can't just be, a good conversation. It has to be an empowered agent, somebody who can get to the bottom of the issue. But I think one of the speakers before, the gentleman from New Star, mentioned that as digital engagement rolls out, more and more phone calls are a byproduct of digital campaigns. And so how do you link the agents into the rollout of your new technology is really a critical question. And of course, what you would hope to achieve is less of a experience where the consumer is dealing with multiple different parties, but more of an experience where the consumer deals with one agent. Right? One agent across any channel that they choose, independent of whether it's coming in or independent of whether it's going out. And that actually, that's a better model, right? It gives the agent the opportunity to start to even build a relationship with the consumer in an ideal world. And so that's a good thing if you can get to the workflows on the right. Of course, it's easier to draw the picture than it is to execute it. And so I thought maybe we'd talk a little bit about why it's hard to execute on that picture on the right. And of course, it starts with how portable your data is. Can you get your data across the various channels? And of course, it's more than just being able to get the data across the different channels. The data has to be there real time. So if you can stitch all your channels together after the fact and then you get it into a batch mode, that's great. But that won't give the customer the experience that they're looking for. That won't allow that instant gratification that the customer seeks. Won't allow the agent to respond immediately to whatever it is that the consumer is calling about. So with that said, I thought we would go and spend a little bit of time talking about how we could get to a better database, and how we could leverage that database so that it's available in your workflows. And again, everything that I'm talking about is not the majority of the time because you can't do it. This is the way it is the majority of the time, just because this is what the technology has allowed at a rational price point. And so, how do you evolve? How do you take advantage of this digital opportunity in a way that you're going to make money? I mean, how do you do it in a way that it's going to drive ROI? And of course, it all starts with how much control do you have over your customer data? Because that really is ultimately what customer engagement is about, is having the customer data available and then also being able to capture it as you proceed. So the data that happens on each interaction is critical, and if you've got it stuck in your channels, then you're not going to be able, the agent isn't going to be able to get to it, and they're not going to be able to deliver on ultimately what you're seeking, which is the customer preference. And now you're looking up here now and you see I use the word centralized data. And I know that a lot of you have experience working with technology. And so there's probably many of you that have been familiar with data centralization efforts that have been, that have been a black hole. And so that's a pretty scary word if you've attempted to centralize data before, because there can be a lot of complexities there. But it doesn't really need to be, as bad as it was in the past. The development of cloud technology is actually opening the door to a different approach to data management. And you could describe it a lot of ways. I think 10 years ago they would have called it maybe middleware or metadata, but you can put together a data model today using cloud technology that results in really what you are going for. And that is a centralized and configurable data model. So if you have a configurable database that is centralized, you're laying the groundwork for what it is that you're going to want to do over the next 5 years. You're laying the groundwork for what it is that you're going to want to do to evolve as the technology evolves and as the consumer evolves. And so once you've gotten the data into your centralized and your configurable database, now the next question is, can you get it into your workflows? Because it has to be available real time in each self-serve, in each voice, and in each email interaction. Otherwise you can't really reach the full potential of of your communication strategy. But if you have done that, if you have achieved both a centralized and a configurable database and gotten it into your channels, then you have the ability to really think in different ways about your campaign strategies and about your self-service strategy. I think a lot of the people in the audience would like to deliver the right message to the right person at the right time on the right channel. And again, that sounds kind of theoretical, but if you can get to a centralized data model with a configurable label, data layout that you can actually label, then you're opening the door. You're opening the door to a lot of possibilities around self-service, around outbound marketing. And of course, if you think in terms of customer preference, you're not only delivering what the consumer wants at the right time in the right place, but you're also positioned to be mindful of your compliance obligations. And so with the preference, you can deploy the controls that you need to achieve risk mitigation as well. So I'm getting to the last part of this, which is now what does this mean for the agent? But before I get there, I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'll just do a sanity check. I realize I just went through some technical databases. Jim, what did you think?
I thought it was
interesting from a technical standpoint. I'm actually looking forward to seeing it. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't really need the microphone. You guys know that. But from a technical standpoint, I thought it was really cool. I'd really like you to get into the weeds to tell me, like this next part, empowerment to the agent. I'd like to see, can you show me how you do that?
Sure. Well, I didn't put any pictures of our product up
Understood
there
that.
because it's not supposed to be
In
an
theory,
ad.
tell me.
But yeah, so you know, let me ask the question this way. If your agents are on an inbound phone call for one of your clients, give me an example. Telco, okay, and are they selling a cable package or, okay, so they're talking to them about a cable package. What, what does the, how does that end? What if the consumer says, okay, I want it, I'm ready to go, what happens next?
So what they do actually in today's world is when the agent says, yes, I want that, they're going through the system to place the order.
Okay.
That's pretty much what they're doing. They're actually connected right to the system, saying boom, 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 let me go ahead and verify all this, and then they're scheduling an appointment if you have to drop fiber, and those type of things.
Okay. And can they send the consumer an SMS?
No, today's world no.
Okay. Why not?
Our technology doesn't do that.
Okay. So, now to send an SMS, Andy's risk compliance officer for Lorca, so he'll tell us need consent, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, now you don't want just the agent to kind of go off the reservation here, right? They're probably not experts on the level of consent they need, correct? So, what I think you need right then and there is you need an interface, right? That allows the agent to go down that path. And the first step of that interface would be that the agent is going to capture consent. How would you like me to follow up with you, Mr. Mrs. Consumer? And if the answer is like, well, I would like an SMS, great. I'm going to press a button right now and you're going to get an SMS. I'd like you to click on the other end and acknowledge that this is how you want to do business with us. And so right then and there, you have your agent meeting that customer's request. They're meeting their preference. Sending out a SMS that captures the response from the far side device. So you've got a double opt-in standard there. You've got the voice capture consent. Then you've got the preference capture from the far device. That's a pretty good standard for consent. The customer got the got what they asked for, which was a response via SMS. So that's a good thing. And in fact, it could have been email, it could be phone calls, but you've given the agent the tools now to go farther with the customer and to meet their needs. So one of the earlier speakers was talking about agent retention, and I have to think that if you give your agents the capacity to do more, they'll probably like the job better.
Sure.
And stay longer. So I think that's an example of what you can do if you've gotten the data where you need it. It's not. A lot of people think that the constraint is at the interface level. The constraint is rarely at the surface, right? It's almost always beneath there, and if you can get it into that centralized data model, I think you're going to find getting it into your interfaces isn't really the hardest thing in the world. I mean, if you can get it into a centralized configurable data model, you should be able to embed it into your campaigns. You should be able to get it into your agent interfaces. You should be able to get it into your self-service interfaces. Most of those interfaces have configurable ways of dipping data. right? So you just gotta get it there, and then from there, I think your agents are gonna like it, your consumers are gonna like it. You know, I mean, getting a view of the customer when that interaction comes in, I think that's a positive thing. I read a Contact Center Week survey, and I think they said that 60% of interactions across channel drop the data. So, that maybe is the #1 consumer complaint. Is on their journey from channel A to channel B, or they go from agent A to agent B, then starting over. It's a new, who are you? Give me your account number. I mean, that's kind of a frustrating experience. I think we all have experienced it personally, as well as knowing of its existence. And of course, if you've got this data model and you've empowered your agent, you can empower your agent, and they can capture these consents. They can react in the way that the customer wants, and they can respond. And you can do it. You can do it in a structured way. You can put the rules into the workflows that keeps your risk mitigation profile low. So. And then, of course, it can link to other applications that you have, including customer satisfaction linkages. And the net result of this is that not only are you providing a better level of customer experience, empowering your agent, but also your organization is building assets, right? Because each interaction contains valuable data. I mean, Jim was just talking about his analytics subsidiary, right? I mean, every time that you interact with a consumer, you create a data point. But that's only valuable. That data point's only valuable if it's linked, and if it's centralized, and if it's available. So I think that there's a lot of benefits to this. It gives you the opportunity, and it really lays the foundation to respond to how the technology is evolving and what's coming in the future. And again, as I mentioned earlier, technology could have been rolled out on unified data models to begin with, but if you were going to create a centralized database circa 2005 pre-cloud, you could be stitching together a communications platform, a CRM platform, a workforce optimization platform, an email platform, an SMS platform, a website. That's 6 platforms integrated. That's a very large professional services bill. And then by the time you're done, it probably took you 2 or 3 years to get there. And then of course by the time you're done, the whole idea had evolved so much that you were wondering why you did it, and it was kind of a giant waste of time. But so that's why the channels have been fragmented historically. Is because it really just hasn't been rational, but in a cloud model, it's different. And the reason that the cloud model is different is because at its core, practitioners that are adopting cloud are adopting standards. And as they adopt standards, you can stitch together data at a much lower price point, right? Because that's just what's happening. Right, LIVEVOX runs on Amazon and on Google's cloud compute platform. Your technology vendor should be adopting that technology. They should be moving there, because that is how they will drive your costs down. And they will drive your costs down because those platforms drive standards, and as they drive standards, you can stitch together the data at a lower cost point. And it's not only at a lower cost point, it's faster. Getting together the data together with less money at greater speed is going to position you to respond to AI. It's going to position you to respond to social media. It's going to position you to respond to changing workforce dynamics because it will compress the cost, compress the speed. With that in place, you'll find that your ability to embed into your workflows is more achievable, and your ability to empower your agents to act on the data is greater. And then from there, it's, you know, the opportunity is there for you guys to build your data assets and to move from more of a reactive posture to more of a proactive posture, right? Because if you want to get ahead of where technology is going, you have to build your data assets. You have to compile the data, look at what it's telling you, so that you can get in front of what's coming next. Because that's ultimately how you'll seize the next opportunity in the market and drive your ROI. So I think that's it.
We have time for a couple of questions. Jim, I'll come over to you first.
So thank you, Louis. I think it was really good. Here's my question for you. As an innovator thinker, your stuff's really cool, it looks really good. My question is, what are you seeing? You just said get ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing video. People have been talking about it for 5-6 years. I haven't seen anybody execute it well yet. So give me, my example is, where do you see video helping from an agent perspective? Because I recently bought a router. I was on, people who know me know I won't call center, I use chat. 30-minute chat, ended up packing it away and shipping it back because they could not solve my problem. If they had a video of directions, I'm thinking that's where the future is. What's your opinion on that?
Well, was your video solution cloud-based?
Well, I don't have the video solution. That's what I'm telling you the company needs. So,
Wait, so you're telling me about a company that wants a video solution, but they bought something and they didn't?
me, Jim IU personally bought something, went to tech support. They couldn't help me via chat, right? The solution really would have been for them to give me the video setup, how it should work. So my question to you is, people talk about video. So you talk about SMS, email, all your preferences.
Yeah.
Where do you see the market going with video
Yeah.
from an agent desktop to be able to show someone how to accomplish a task or a goal?
Well, you know, I'm not the expert in the consumer. You guys are, right? I live in the technology. So the answer to your question about where does video resonate the most is driven by use case, consumer, and preference, and you know, what does the data tell you? Like who really needs this? But independent of that, from a technology perspective, web standards are driving the opportunity to get to video on your desktops. It's coming way down, fast. The costs to get it there, the reliability of it being there is coming down quickly. If you are working with vendors that are using rigorous cloud-based standards, because WebRTC is going to, well, I mean, it has native co-browsing. So, for example, you can look at have what the consumer is browsing. The agent can share the same screen, native in the browser. I mean, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So I look forward to you telling me about the use cases where you think it would work, and I'll show you a mock-up of how it would work.
Deal. Thank you.
Rob?
Hi. My question would probably could dedicate 4 hours to it alone, but
Okay.
just in brief, you mentioned that you have the ability to respond to social media. So how do you manage what you are allowed to obtain from social media and what you're not allowed to maintain? And then when we talk about things like the European initiatives for data protection, how does your company stay on top of all those ever-changing legislations?
Right. So the first question on what are the compliance rules around social media, we support our clients on whatever rules they put into place. So we're not the expert on what your social media compliance rules should be. We are expert, though, at ensuring that if you have some kind of communication coming in over social media, that we can link it to the communication that you have in email, in SMS, in chat, and in voice, and make sure that that's available to your agents. We can do that. Now, we do have obligations under the GDPR, and one of the key dimensions of the GDPR is the ability to delete customer data. So again, that is substantially aided by a centralized database, if you think about it, because where you're going to fall down on GDPR, if you have your data spread across 5 or 6 different channels, is you're going to get a request for delete, and you're going to delete it in one place, but it's going to reside in 4 others. And you may not even know about it. And in fact, it's easy enough for it to get lost. It could be not even properly indexed. It could exist in a call recording that you have no idea that's archived somewhere.
Anyone else have a question? All right, well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Okay, everyone, just a couple of quick announcements for you because I want to make sure that you're up to speed on everything. So right now,